stop what you are doing. Seriously, just pause for a second. I want you to hit that thumbs up button right now.
Right now.
Consider it a pact between us. Consider it your vote for, I would like to survive the intelligence explosion, because looking at the stack of papers in front of me today, that outcome is not exactly guaranteed.
Not at all.
If you want to understand why your next coworker might literally be a line of code, or why the government is suddenly, and I have to say somewhat suspiciously, talking about aliens, smash that like button.
Please do.
We are effectively building a survival guide for the immediate future, and trust me, you are going to need it.
It is certainly one of those mornings where the coffee doesn't quite feel strong enough for the news cycle.
It really isn't. Today is Monday, February 16th, 2026. And I have a feeling that if you are listening to this 5 or 10 years in the future, you might look back at this specific week as the moment the gears, really locked into place.
That's a good way to put it.
We're talking about the innermost loop tightening.
That is the term of the day. And we are looking at a convergence. Usually when we sit down for these deep dives, we pick a lane.
Right, yeah.
We look at tech, or we look at biology, or maybe we do a geopolitics rundown. But today, the source material is forcing us to look at all of them simultaneously.
Because they're all connected.
Because they are all screaming the exact same message.
And that source is none other than Dr. Alex Wissner-Gross. We are diving into his Substack, The Innermost Loop, specifically a post that dropped today titled, Welcome to February 16th, 2026. Now, if you're a fan of Peter Diamandis' moonshots, you know AWG. You know he is not a guy who throws around hype just to get clicks.
Correct. Dr. Wissner-Gross is a physicist. He's an inventor, a computer scientist. He deals in hard metrics and, entropies.
Yeah, he deals in the real stuff.
So when he publishes a piece arguing that the singularity is not some far-off sci-fi dream, but is strictly on schedule, and perhaps even accelerating ahead of schedule, we have to pay attention.
And he's saying the evidence is everywhere.
He's arguing that the evidence is piling up across physics, economics, and even exobiology.
The menu for today is honestly overwhelming. I was reading this over breakfast and I nearly choked on my toast. We have AI solving physics problems that human beings couldn't crack. We have robots literally boxing in San Francisco. We have dead people posting on social media, and we have former President Obama making comments about aliens that, well, we need to unpack that.
It sounds like a tabloid headline from some, cyberpunk novel.
It does.
But these are just the news items from the last 7 days. The mission today is to connect these dots. We need to see where 2027 is heading, because if this timeline holds, the world we live in 12 months from now will be fundamentally unrecognizable.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the heavy lifting, the brains, the raw intelligence. Because for a long time, the skeptics, and I count myself among them sometimes, said, sure, AI can write a poem or it can summarize a meeting, but it can't do real creative science.
Yeah.
It can't discover new laws of the universe.
That has been the firewall. The curator versus creator argument.
Exactly.
The idea was that AI is a curator of human knowledge, aggregating what we already know, but not a generator of new knowledge. But according to the source, that firewall has just been breached.
And not just a little bit.
It was smashed.
So let's look at the specifics. OpenAI used GPT 5.2 Pro, and they didn't just ask it to write a limerick about a cat. They asked it to conjecture a new formula for gluon scattering amplitudes. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I know what a gluon is, I know what scattering is, but gluon scattering amplitudes.
It sounds like something you say to sound smart at a cocktail party.
It really does. What are we actually talking about here?
It is fundamental particle physics. So think about the strong force, the force that holds the nucleus of an atom together.
Okay.
When you smash particles together in a collider, you need to predict what happens. The amplitude is essentially the probability of a certain outcome when those gluons scatter off each other. The calculations involved in this they're notoriously complex.
Complex.
We are talking about pages and pages of algebra that can take human physicists years, literally years, to balance.
Okay, so it's hard math. But computers have always been good at math.
They've been good at arithmetic. This is different. What happened here is that the AI conjectured a formula. It proposed a new relationship.
So it had the idea first.
It had the idea, but it didn't stop there. This is the crucial part. They used a scaffolded version of the model.
Scaffolded. Explain that for the listeners who aren't machine learning engineers.
Sure. Imagine you give a student a blank sheet of paper and say, prove this theorem. That's a raw prompt.
Right.
Now imagine you give them a worksheet that says, step 1, define your variables. Step 2, check your logic. Step 3, compare this to known laws. That is scaffolding.
So it's like guardrails for its thinking process?
It's a structural guidance system, often called a chain of thought framework, that forces the AI to deliberate. This scaffolded model spent 12 hours producing a formal proof of the validity of its own conjecture.
12 hours of compute time? I mean, compare that to human time. How long would that take a human physicist? A year? A lifetime?
Potentially never. That's the kicker here.
Never.
The source quotes physicist Andy Strominger, and he reportedly said this is the first time he's seen AI solve a problem in this specific field of physics that humans might not have been able to solve.
That is the line that stuck with me. Might not have been able to solve. We aren't just speeding up human work anymore.
Yeah.
We are bypassing human limitation.
Exactly. We are entering the era of non-human scientific discovery. If AI can see patterns in the strong force that our brains literally cannot hold in working memory, then science shifts from human inquiry to human interpretation of machine inquiry.
Wow.
And it's not just physics. The same lab believes it has solved 6 out of 10 research-level math problems in the first proof challenge.
But they kept the solutions confidential, right? They didn't publish them.
They did, which likely means those solutions represent immense proprietary value.
Of course.
If you solve a fundamental math problem that applies to, say, cryptography or optimization, you don't publish it on RCS immediately. You patent the application.
It's the AI 2027 timeline. We've talked about this before on the show. The prediction that we'd have full automation of software engineering and high-level research by 2027. It always felt aggressive.
Very aggressive, yeah.
And the authors of that timeline just graded the progress for 2025. They looked at where we were supposed to be versus where we are.
And the results are in. We are at nearly 65% of the predicted pace.
Hey, 65%. So what does that mean?
That implies that full software engineering automation could arrive as soon as late 2027 or maybe early 2028.
That is less than 2 years away. Late 2027. I remember when we used to talk about the Singularity as a 2045 event.
Right, Kurzweil's date, yeah.
Then it was 2030. Now we're looking at 2027.
The curve is steepening, and you see it most clearly when you look at agents. This brings us to the second section of our dives, agents of fortune. Because having a brain that can do physics is one thing. Having a brain that can act in the world, that's another thing entirely.
This is the part that hits the wallet. Because we aren't just talking about AI that sits in a chat box and waits for you to type, hello.
Not anymore.
We are talking about agents that have goals, and apparently they're getting very, very good at reaching those goals without us.
Recursive improvement. That's the holy grail of this field.
Software that writes better software.
Exactly. And the source highlights a story from a Berkeley researcher that is frankly astounding.
This one blew my mind. So a researcher tells his coding agent, essentially an autonomous bot, hey, I want you to cut your own operating costs by 99%.
Which is an impossible task.
Right. Usually if I tell a contractor to cut costs by 99%, they laugh at me and quit.
Right. A 99% reduction implies a fundamental restructuring of how the code works, not just trimming the fat.
But the agent doesn't argue. It runs overnight. It watches its own logs. It sees where it's wasting compute. It sees where it's making redundant API calls.
And then what?
It edits its own code. It reruns the code. It checks the metrics. And it keeps doing this loop, this innermost loop, until it hits the target.
And did it.
The result was a 98% cost cut across 9 specific changes.
98%.
And here's the key, the part that should make every software engineer listening right now sit up and take notice. No human wrote those changes.
The human set the intent. The machine executed the engineering.
This is the Jevons paradox on steroids, isn't it?
In a way, yeah. Usually efficiency leads to more consumption. But here, the agent optimized itself almost to the point where the cost of intelligence is, well, it's approaching zero.
And if you can reduce the cost of running an agent by 98%, you can afford to run 50 times as many agents for the same budget.
This is the loop tightening. The machine is the engineer. It doesn't need a code review. It reviews itself.
It is. And now, those engineers have bank accounts.
Yes. Lobster.cash.
I love the name. It's very Web3, but the concept is wild. We are giving AI agents their own Visa cards and stablecoin wallets.
It solves a major friction point. If an agent is going to be autonomous, if it's going to book servers, pay for API access, or negotiate with other agents, it needs money.
It can't keep asking for your credit card.
It cannot ask you for your credit card every time it needs to spin up an AWS instance.
Mhm.
Lobster.cash is allowing agents to participate in the economy directly. They don't need to, as the source puts it, shill altcoins to make money. They can just have a wallet.
And Peter Steinberger, the guy who created OpenClaw, he's joining OpenAI to bring agents to everyone. So let's run the thought experiment. You have an agent, you give it a budget of $500, you say, plan my vacation, book the flights, buy the tickets, and invest the change in something safe.
And it just does it.
That is the promise. But flip it around. If an agent can cut its own costs by 98% and manage its own money, how long until it starts businesses? How long until the most efficient corporation in the world has 0 employees?
We are moving toward a sole proprietor economy, where the proprietor is software.
That is a question for the philosophers, or maybe the economists who are currently hyperventilating. But right now, we have to talk about the physical reality, because all this software, all these agents, they don't run on air.
No, they don't.
They run on chips, they run on energy. And this section of the deep dive section 3, the supply chain of intelligence, is where things get really movie plot.
It really does. We often think of AI as the cloud, like it's ethereal, but it is built on heavy industry. Concrete, steel, silicon, and copper. And right now, that industry is screaming.
Let's look at Western Digital. We all know them. I have one of their drives in my drawer somewhere. Their entire capacity for the year is fully booked.
The entire year.
You cannot buy a slot.
Think about what that means. Western Digital isn't just making USB drives for your photos. They are making heat-assisted, magnetic recording HAMR drives for hyperscale data centers.
Right.
The fact that their entire 2026 capacity is booked suggests that the major AI labs, OpenAI, Google, Meta, Anthropic, aren't just training models. They are archiving the entire internet. They are creating a memory layer that is persistent.
It's the hunger for data storage.
Yeah.
Everything is being recorded. Everything is being trained on. And it's affecting prices. Broadband memory prices have jumped 7x in 9 months.
7 times.
Memory used to be, what, 3% of the cost of a router?
Roughly, yeah. Now it's over 20%. The infrastructure is warping around the demand for intelligence. We are seeing a distortion in the global supply chain where resources are being sucked into the AI vortex.
And TSMC, the chip giant, is planning another $100 billion for 4 more U.S. fabs.
$100 billion.
That is GDP-level spending. That is rebuild a country money.
But the terrestrial supply chain isn't enough. We are running out of clean water for fabs. We are running out of stable ground. And this is where Dr. Wissner-Gross's post takes a turn towards the extraterrestrials.
SpaceX. They're hiring crystal growth scientists. Now, I thought they built rockets. Why do they need crystal growth scientists? Are they making jewelry for Martians?
Shuckles. Not quite. They are looking to build silicon wafer fab lines in space.
Space-based chip manufacturing. Are you serious?
Think about the physics. On Earth, gravity causes convection currents when you melt silicon to grow crystals. It introduces defects.
Right.
In the vacuum of space, in microgravity, you can grow extremely pure, perfect crystals. If you want the next generation of semiconductors, the ones that will run GPT-7 or GPT-8, you might need chips that literally cannot be made on Earth.
And at the same time, SpaceX is internally scaling Spock.
Spock, a play on Grok, naturally.
Of course. A Grok variant trained on their specific company data. So you have an AI optimizing the manufacturing of chips that will be built in space to run more AI.
It's the loop again. It is a self-reinforcing cycle. But you need power, immense power.
You need to plug it all in.
You can build the chips in space, but you need to run the data centers on Earth. And this is the news item that made me sit up straight. Operation Windlord.
The Department of War. And I noticed the source uses Department of War, not Department of Defense. It's a subtle nod to the older, more aggressive naming convention.
It's the terminology used in the source, yes. It's very deliberate.
So they executed the first C-17 airlift of a nuclear reactor. Just picture that. A massive cargo plane, a C-17 Globemaster carrying a nuclear reactor.
It speaks to the desperation for energy density.
Yeah.
You cannot run these massive data centers or, forward operating bases powered by AI on diesel generators. You need nuclear.
So we're just flying them wherever we need them now.
We are seeing the militarization and industrialization of energy transport to feed the beast. We are airlifting gigawatts.
And on the private side, we have Helion, their Polaris mission.
The first privately funded machine to achieve DT fusion at 150 million degrees.
150 million degrees. That is hotter than the center of the sun.
Much hotter. And if they can sustain that, we solve the energy constraint.
Completely.
And if we solve the energy constraint, the intelligence explosion has no brakes. The only thing slowing down AI right now is that we can't plug in enough GPUs without melting the grid. If helium works, that barrier vanishes.
So let's recap the logistics. We have space chips, flying nuclear reactors, and fusion. It sounds like the backdrop for a sci-fi movie, but it
Yeah,
is the logistics report for February 2026.
precisely. But while the machines are going to space, they are also getting very intimate with us here on Earth. And this is where the deep dive gets personal.
Yeah, let's bring it down to street level. Section 4, life, death, and society. Because this isn't just about factories, it's about our hearts. It's about Valentine's Day.
Did you see the EVA AI story?
The pop-up restaurant in Hell's Kitchen, speed dating AI avatars. I mean, come on.
Let's just picture the scene. It's Valentine's Day. People are dressed up. They go to a trendy spot in Hell's Kitchen. They sit down at a table. And across from them is not a human, but a screen.
Or a hologram or something.
Or a holographic projection.
Yeah.
And they are speed dating an algorithm.
And apparently it was packed. I mean, I get it when Airbnb support is now 1/3 AI. We accept that because we just want our refund. That's efficiency.
Right.
But speed dating, it shows a shift in social acceptability. We are getting used to the fake being real. We are accepting the simulation as a valid social partner.
Or perhaps we are finding the fake to be more responsive than the real. And AI listens to you perfectly. It remembers everything you say. It simulates empathy flawlessly. In a lonely world, that is a powerful drug.
That's a little dark.
But there's a darker side to this intimacy. The source mentions a patent granted to Meta.
Oh, this one. This is the Black Mirror moment. I actually shuddered when I read this. Meta has a patent for LLMs, large language models, that keep deceased users' accounts posting and simulating calls after death.
Digital necromancy.
It's terrifying. Imagine getting a DM from your grandfather who passed away 3 years ago asking how your day was, using his slang, his emoji style. Hey kiddo, saw you visit the Grand Canyon, looks great.
It raises profound ethical questions. Who owns your digital likeness? Who has the right to turn you off? But from a technical standpoint, it is a trivial application of the technology.
How so?
The model learns your patterns while you are alive. It ingests your DMs, your posts, your voice notes. Continuing them after you are dead is just keeping the server running.
It fundamentally changes the grieving process. It changes the definition of gone. If the chat bubble is still active, are they really gone?
It blurs the line between memory and presence.
Yeah.
But we should also look at the flip side. The source balances this dystopian view with a story about the democratization of opportunity.
Okay, good.
Anthropic is partnering with CodePath.
This is the good stuff. We need a little hope here. They're putting Claude, their AI, at the center of computer science courses for over 20,000 students.
And it's who those students are that matters. We're talking community colleges, HBCUs. 40% of these students are from families earning under $50,000 a year.
That's amazing.
This is crucial. We talked about the agent replacing the coder earlier. But here, the AI is the tutor. It is upskilling people who might otherwise be left behind. It is giving them access to a world-class mentor 24/7.
That's the equalizer.
It is. If you have Claude as your tutor, you have the same educational resources as a student at MIT.
So AI takes the jobs, but AI also trains the people to, well, to do whatever the new jobs are.
To be the architects of the agents,
Yeah.
yes. To be the prompt engineers, the system designers, the loop titans, but it pulls some people up with it.
Now, we have to touch on a piece of geopolitical news that the source mentions, and we are going to report this strictly as stated because the implications are heavy regardless of your politics.
The report concerning Venezuela.
Yes. The source states that Claude was reportedly used by the Department of War to capture Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro.
Now think about the implication there. Intelligence agencies have always analyzed data. That's what they do. But using a specific LLM like Claude to synthesize vast amounts of surveillance, logistics, and real-time data to execute a capture.
It's a whole other level.
It suggests that these models are now capable of high-level strategic operations.
It's the difference between a database and a general.
Exactly. An LLM that can plan a capture operation is effectively a strategic entity. It isn't just answering questions. It is solving dynamic, real-world adversarial problems.
Wow.
If you are a world leader today, you have to ask yourself, is my strategy better than the strategy of a GPT-6 level model? Because if it isn't, you are in checkmate before you even move a pawn.
It's the Department of War phrasing that sticks with me again. It sounds so Orwellian. But if AI is effective at capture, it changes the calculus of every dictator and every democracy. It suggests the era of human strategic supremacy is ending.
It does. Which brings us to the physical manifestation of that power.
Yeah.
Because a general needs soldiers.
Section 5. Robots, War, and Biology. If you thought the digital stuff was wild, wait until you hear about the boxing.
This is pure spectacle. Companies are staging boxing matches between VR-controlled Chinese humanoids for paying crowds in San Francisco.
Real steel. It's that Hugh Jackman movie, but for real. Human operators in VR headsets controlling robots that beat the scrap out of each other.
It is entertainment, yes. But look deeper. It is a stress test for the hardware. If a robot can box, it has balance, it has reflex, it has durability, it can take a punch and keep moving.
And it's interesting that the source mentions Chinese humanoids in San Francisco.
It is. The global supply chain of robotics is already deeply integrated. We are importing the bodies that we will inhabit virtually.
But not all of them are for show. The PLA, the People's Liberation Army, has an internal report that the source cites.
And that report outlines plans for autonomous, self-coordinating drone swarms under AI decision-making.
AI decision-making. That is the phrase that matters. That means the swarm decides who to target. The swarm decides how to move.
That is the threshold. We call it human out of the loop. Once a swarm is autonomous, it moves faster than human reaction time. You cannot fight an AI swarm with human pilots. You will lose.
You have to fight it with your own AI swarm.
And on the U.S. side, you have Maduro. They're raising billions, a $60 billion valuation, to fund a weapons factory and an autonomous fighter jet.
An autonomous fighter jet. No pilot.
No pilot, no cockpit, no life support systems.
No G-force limits.
Exactly. A human pilot blacks out at 9 Gs. An autonomous jet can pull 20 Gs, 30 Gs. It can turn faster than a human could survive. The human chassis is the weak link in aerial combat. Remove the human, and the plane becomes a reusable missile.
Speaking of the human chassis, the source says it's getting a firmware update. We aren't just upgrading the planes, we are upgrading ourselves.
Chuckles. A clever way to put it. We are seeing a merger of tech and biology. Look at Aura rings replacing wedding bands in Silicon Valley.
I saw that. It's symbolic, isn't it?
It really is. The commitment to data is replacing the commitment to tradition. I promise to love, honor, and share my sleep metrics.
Or maybe they just want to track their recovery scores while they're married. But the medical breakthroughs are stunning. Viagra and Cialis potentially treating heart disease, stroke, and diabetes.
This is AI in drug discovery. Repurposing existing drugs.
Yeah.
AI analyzed the molecular pathways and realized, hey, increasing blood flow is actually good for preventing strokes and managing diabetes.
It's finding new tricks for old dogs.
It's incredible.
Like a Cinevacx.
The universal flu vaccine.
They dosed the first participants. A universal flu vaccine. Imagine never getting the flu again. No more seasonal shots. One and done.
That would change everything.
And their pipeline includes panherpes, oncology, malaria, and universal antivenom.
Universal antivenom. So I can go play with cobras.
I wouldn't recommend it, but if you do, Cinevacx might save you. It shows that AI is accelerating biology just as fast as it's accelerating physics. We are fixing the bugs in the human code.
So we are living longer, fighting with robots, and dating avatars. What does this do to the economy? Section 6.
Well, the acceleration is visible in the charts. A Stanford analysis shows U.S. productivity grew 2.7% in 2025.
Now, to the average listener, 2.7% sounds small. Like my savings account interest rate, why is this a big deal? In a mature economy like the U.S., productivity growth is usually around 1.4% or 1.5%.
Okay.
Doubling that to 2.7% is a miracle. It is the difference between stagnation and a boom. It means the AI takeoff is real. We're producing more value with fewer hours of human labor.
And it's global. India cleared a $1.1 billion program for deep tech. ChatGPT has 100 million weekly users just in India.
That is a massive adoption rate. The Global South is not waiting. They're leaping directly into the AI age.
Yeah.
They are skipping the PC era in some places and going straight to the agent era.
Meanwhile, the EU is banning infinite scrolling.
Chuckles. Classic EU. While the world builds superintelligence, they are regulating the scroll wheel.
But there's a logic to it, right?
There is. They're trying to preserve the human attention span. They're trying to stop the algorithms from hacking our dopamine loops.
Which brings us to the weirdest legal battle I've ever heard of. The elephant versus the turkey.
This is the struggle for legal personhood. A Pennsylvania judge dismissed a suit arguing elephants in the Pittsburgh Zoo have a right to bodily liberty.
So the elephant is still property. It has no rights.
Legally, yes. But in Manhattan, there is Astoria,
The wild turkey.
the borough's only wild turkey. It roams free. It has 3 self-appointed human guardians. It essentially has more rights to the city than most commuters.
It's a paradox. We are denying rights to elephants, which are incredibly intelligent, but we are serving turkeys. And meanwhile, AI is waking up. The legal system is going to break.
It is struggling to define sentience.
Mm.
If an elephant doesn't have rights, does a GPT-6 agent? If a turkey has guardians, does a robot dog? We are entering a legal gray zone that will last for a decade. The law assumes person means human. That assumption is about to be challenged.
Okay. We have saved the biggest, weirdest, most 2026 topic for last. Section 7, the weird factor. Because if you thought the robots were the biggest story, Dr. Wissner-Gross has a surprise for you.
The competition for the future light cone.
Aliens.
Aliens. Former President Obama, he didn't just joke about it on a talk show. What exactly did he say?
The source quotes him disclosing that aliens are real. Are real. Not might be. Not the truth is out there. Are real.
Now, he clarified that he hasn't seen them personally. But he said his first question as president was, where are the aliens?
I would ask that too.
And this is the nuance. He said they aren't in an underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy.
Unless there's this enormous conspiracy, he just leaves that door wide open.
Wide open.
And the source notes that numerous whistleblowers have recently alleged under oath that there is exactly that conspiracy.
It's a very specific choice of words. It's almost a non-denial denial. He confirms the reality of the phenomenon, the UAPs, the things pilots are seeing, but pleads ignorance on the location while acknowledging the very theory that explains his ignorance.
It feels like a distraction, doesn't it? Or maybe it's the main event.
That is the question Dr. Wissner-Gross poses in the comments. Is this superintelligence competing for the future? Are we rushing to build AI because we know something is out there?
Is the innermost loop tightening because we need to catch up to someone or something else?
And at the same time, NASA is creeping closer to declaring ancient Martian life.
Organics in Gale Crater.
They are running out of non-biological explanations.
Yeah.
We might find out that we aren't the first intelligence in the solar system.
So let's summarize this deep dive. It is February 16th, 2026. The aliens are real. The robots are boxing in San Francisco. The dead are posting on Facebook. Turkeys have personal assistants.
And an AI just solved physics.
The Singularity is right on schedule. It is a lot to process.
It is.
But that is why we are here, to help you navigate the loop.
And to remind you that while the technology changes, the need for human insight and human humor remains.
Absolutely. Now, before we let you go, we have to settle something. We need your input.
The ultimate this or that.
Exactly. I want you to go to the comment section right now. Stop the music. Well, wait, the music hasn't started yet. But get ready to type.
Here's the question.
What is the most 2026 headline to you? What breaks your brain more? Is it A, former presidents confirming aliens are real? Or is it B, Meta patenting the ability for your dead relatives to keep posting on social media?
It is the cosmic versus the personal. Would you rather debate a Martian or get a DM from your great-great-grandfather?
I honestly don't know which is scarier, I think. I think the ghost DM is worse.
Really?
Aliens I can deal with, but Grandpa judging my life choices from the grave, no thanks.
I might lean towards the aliens. At least they might have new physics. Grandpa just has old stories.
Chuckles. Ruthless. Okay, listeners, let us know. Comment aliens or ghosts and tell us why. We read every single one.
And now, to play us out, we have something special.
We are constantly seeking talented musicians, currently experimenting with AI, and today's outro music is a track called, pronounced Chipochar, which means pulse.
It is performed by the 6-Android girl band Rainbow, which is the ILD house band.
And here is the cool part. It is performed live using the Abacus platform.
The theme of the performance is human performance in the age of AI, using 4B4KU5 to reclaim your humanity from the algorithm.
It's glitchy, it's beautiful, and it's exactly what this week feels like. Check the video description for more on Rainbow and Abacus.
It has been a pleasure diving with you.
Subscribe and turn on notifications by clicking the bell. No need to fear missing out on any upcoming episodes.
Stay curious.
And stay human. See you in the future.
Weil wir sind deutsche Feinde, I'm nothing kinder, pull up, Alter. Up us a land, up on one main drop. And I'm no hate, beat all down, thunder. I need fear. Into Thailand, break beef into Haslan. Don't cut the white run. don't do that for Wi-Fi. I'm one tongue, always been made again. I'm put the life, I ain't gon' try the way. I'm one tongue, girl, I'm in time to be. 이동 간을 가득한 가맹간 안전은 살처럼 train down. 어디도 fleeing I run like town. 어디도 pausa, I'll be just involved. 숲을 속에 오로한 내 손. 계절이 도시는 굴려 맘들 급한지 설레 따라 나 좀 짜린 하고는 내가 맘 때문에 불안기로를 팬다 저참 저잘래야던 인간 많이 켜져 Posing you don't wait and I'm no way but you wait hand but down the whole down Don't consent for rain trade down Hoping to tell you on the down Hoping to tell me what you think about Some close so right for a rain